All right, this first news story comes to us from, let me see, Adam Bankhurst. I say this every time we have a news article from, I need to reach out to him. He followed me on Twitter one time, and I need to be like, hey, come on our show so we can talk about your news stories. But he wrote this good one over at IGN. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and possibly Starfield are reportedly being considered for PS5. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and possibly Starfield are reportedly being considered for PS5, and this may indicate a new multi-platform approach inside Microsoft for certain Xbox games going forward, if it proves to be true. As reported by The Verge, a source with knowledge of Microsoft's plans have claimed the company is weighing up which titles will remain exclusive and others that will appear on Switch or PS5 in the future. Indiana Jones is seemingly part of this new plan and could be one of the first to kick off this new strategy if it ends up happening. Assuming this plan goes forward, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle appears set to launch exclusively on Xbox and PC in December 2024 and would arrive on PS5 after a rather short period that could just be some months later. Once again, it's important to take all this with a grain of salt as plans change all the time, but the conversations look to be happening inside Microsoft. This report also follows rumors that Hi-Fi Rush and Sea of Thieves may also be jumping to other platforms as well. That was actually another article we were going to talk about tonight that got bumped, but Hi-Fi Rush is apparently coming to at least to Switch and possibly PlayStation after some getting into the source code stuff. There's some little secrets hidden in there for in an upcoming update.
I'm gonna buy it again.
Yeah, dude, it is so good.
I'm gonna buy it again.
I'll buy it the first time. I didn't because it was on Game Pass the first time, so I'll buy. If I need to, I'll buy it.
Right.
That's not all. However, the Xbox Era is reporting that Starfield may be another game to make its way to PS5. According to Xbox Era sources, Microsoft may be planning to launch Bethesda's space RPG on PS5 after the already announced Shattered Space expansion that is slated to arrive later in 2024. Furthermore, has been claimed Microsoft is making even more of an investment into PS5 dev kits to support this supposed multi-platform strategy it may adopt. Ahead of Starfield's launch, the question of its exclusivity was one of the biggest out there. While it turned out Starfield was exclusive, at least at launch, these potential new developments will also surely bring back the Elder Scrolls 6 into view. While it hasn't been 100% confirmed, Microsoft's own internal documents have claimed it will skip PS5, will only launch on Xbox and PC. Once again, plans change all the time, as is possibly evidenced by these reports, so it's important not to take anything as fact until it happens. So, there's some, this is what we were referring to earlier with, the gaming world seemingly burning down all weekend. People were not happy about this. Not happy. Because, the console wars, they aren't dead. They aren't. In fact, as much as most of us have grown up and moved on, there's a lot of us who haven't, unfortunately. And boy, oh boy, were people furious.
Well, the worst part about it is, like you said, it's we come in and we joke about it from time to time because it's fun to make a joke here and there, take a stab here and there. Mm-hmm. But most of us really know we don't really mean it. But like these people have based their entire personality behind a plastic box, and they are going to fight to the death and insult your family and dox you over a plastic box, bro. It's scary.
Yeah, it's a little wild that people respond so intensely over their video game being available to more people to play. Like, it's like, hey, all right, it's, first of all, it's not yours to make the decision, and secondly, I don't know. It's nothing is promised. Nothing is ever 100% locked in on any of these things. Like even just with this digital future, we talked about this a few weeks ago with digital games and physical stuff, and it's like even that's not a for sure thing. Like
no,
you can't ever expect anything to be locked in for sure here. So
I knew that when I got into it, though.
Yeah. Well, piggybacking off that, then, like what you say there, we kind of knew if you were really paying attention to what Phil Spencer and the boys over there were talking, and the girls, if the folks over at Xbox, then we've all seen this coming a mile away, right? Like
ages ago.
It's been years where them over at Xbox, they've all just been going on and on for years now about how they want their games playable everywhere. They're trying to get Game Pass everywhere. They're trying to get their games everywhere. They're trying to it's been their motto literally since like halfway through this the Xbox, like even the One era, like when Game Pass kind of launched towards the tail end of the Xbox One era, like has been their motto is to get their games everywhere, playable everywhere, everyone, like playable to everyone. And so I guess most people just expected, oh, it's going to be through a Game Pass app or it's going to be through a whatever, but it would never come to Nintendo or PlayStation. Never go to the competitors. But here we are, like the possibility of it going to their competitors, and it's like, yeah, I mean,
very real.
It like, it's surprising, but also they've been kind of saying this for years, and we just didn't think they'd actually go that far. But you know what? They're going that far.
Phil said years ago that people think that Sony is their competition at this point in time. Sony is not Microsoft's competition. He said that already. He said their main competition is other services and mobile. Why do you think they bought Activision Blizzard King? A big part of it was Call of Duty, yes. But the one part that nobody talks about is King. King is a giant in the mobile industry. They rake in billions of dollars a year just off their games alone. That's what Microsoft is making sure that they're able to compete in. Sony, yeah, this is fun, going back and forth with PlayStation for a few years. But at the end of the day, this is not gonna last. It's not sustainable. And I think that they've been playing chess this whole time, trying to figure out new markets to get into and to try to make sure that they have something long after buying games from the store at $70 or whatever that we used to do is no longer in fashion. We see it right now. Digital's getting bigger and bigger every day.
Yeah.
And they have capitalized on it. They've made a service that caters to that. So they're looking towards the future. So like we've been saying, Phil's been saying this forever. So anybody who's like, oh, I never thought that they would bring their games to PlayStation, you weren't paying attention.
Yeah, you just were not listening.
You weren't listening. You were you were so caught up in
denial, or
in denial. You were so caught up in my box is better than your box.
Yeah,
my box has these games. Your box has those. Meanwhile, Microsoft is like, man, this is gonna dry up by 2030. What can we do? What can we do to keep mobile games from eating our lunch? Activision, King. Let's get King, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
sorry.
And Alinzia puts it great in the chat. Says, I think honestly they were just working on evolving. That's 100%. Like, it's their company evolving into something so much bigger than what PlayStation is right now, and even in the foreseeable future will ever be, because Sony is very much like focusing on like just still the same old video games they've been doing forever, which is fine. Like someone's got to do it. But Xbox is kind of like becoming so much more than just, oh, we're not just making video games for a box, we're making games and experiences for every possible platform,
That's where the money is. The money is not. The money I don't think has ever been in hardware for games, for consoles. It's always been in the software, right? Because you buy a console one time, that's it.
You buy it one time, and even a lot of the consoles, like they would take a cut on the console because they knew they could make it up through the online services and game sales and stuff like that. So it's like they've very rarely are they actually making money on those consoles, except for like when the like super slim PS3 comes out and it's literally like just $20 in plastic and they're still selling it for $150.
And it looks like it's $20 worth of plastic. I hate the super slim PS3 with a passion.
Oh man.
The one thing that people keep bringing up, and I want to touch on this before we get going on the next aspect, is people keep saying that, oh, this is gonna hurt for competition because if Xbox doesn't focus as much on hardware, then Sony's gonna just run all over this industry. Xbox is still making games, right? Sony still has to compete with Xbox games.
Yeah.
Even if they're not only on Xbox hardware, they still get less money if you buy an Xbox game on a PS5. Sony does. So Xbox could publish their games on PS5 as long as they can see fit. And that's the competition right there. Sony has to say, no, we don't want you to buy Xbox games on PS5. Because in some weird way, you know, we get much less than what we would if you were to just buy a Sony game, or if you would have bought a Sony, what am I trying to say? Owned studio.
Right.
So that's the competition right there. Xbox could actually charge cheaper for their games if they wanted to compete with PlayStation. They have a lot of strategies that they could pull from in order to compete with Sony to make them stay competitive. It's not necessarily just hardware. I don't think it ever really was hardware. So competition is just fine. It's alive and well. And a lot of people, I don't know.
It's just Xbox is taking the competition to new levels. That's all.
Right.
Like, it's just like, all right, well, you may be beating us on this console front. Because, I mean, and they've come out and admitted it. Like, hey, like, this generation, we've lost the console wars. Or console.
Straight up.
We've not console, you didn't say console wars, but we've lost this console generation. Like, PlayStation 5 is getting more sales or whatever than Xbox Series S and X. All right, we've lost. But, so Xbox is like, all right, let's take this to a new level then. Like,
let's pivot.
You're beating us there, but hey, we're beating you here.
Right.
You know?
They're going places Sony and Nintendo can't go.
Yeah. At least not anytime soon. It's going to take a long time to start that pivot. Xbox has been doing this pivot for years.
Ever.
Now.
10 years now.
It was, like I said, it was like closer to like Xbox One generation, like when they were really ramping stuff up towards this. So it's, Selkie says it right. Battle, but not the war. PlayStation has won the battle. Xbox might be working on winning that war, honestly.
So, people are getting their knickers in a twist and all this. It's not worth it. Xbox knows what they're doing. Honestly, I could care less if they come out next week and they're like, hey, everything is coming out on PS5 day and date, and all our big exclusives are coming out on PS5 and PC and wherever else. You know what?
Guess what?
What?
Guess what? Even if those games all come out on PlayStation and Switch and every other console in between,
guess who still makes money?
Well, Xbox. But you know what? You can also still play those games on your Xbox. Like, that's the other thing. People lose their minds over this like losing exclusivity. It's like, who cares? Because you know what? You can still play it on your Xbox. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's not like all of a sudden like, oh, we can't play it on my Xbox or something.
You know, Microsoft knows that they made the Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Right? You know that they made the Xbox, so they're gonna make sure that the thing that they made can play the games that they make. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, and PlayStation fanboys, the Sony ponies aren't any better. Like, Selkie brings up a good point. He says, God of War on PC, how will I survive? Must uninstall. 100%. When PlayStation games started coming to PC, like in the last, 3 years now, it's kind of been a trend. Like, PlayStation fans are losing their minds. It's like, who cares? Who cares? You can still play the game, and you know what? 90% of the time, it runs better on your PlayStation. So far, a lot of the PC ports, not
garbage.
Garbage. Yeah, like Last of Us Part 1. Ooh, and that's a PS3 game. Like, granted, it was the remaster, I guess, but still, it was like, that was rough. Like when that came out on PC. And what was it? There's a couple other games that have been.
Horizon wasn't too great.
Not great at launch. And so it's like, who cares if they come out on other consoles? Because you know what? If you have your Xbox or you have your PlayStation or whatever, it's going to run best there anyways. So you can continue to be a fan, continue to play his games, and probably get the best experience. So
that's the part, Garrett. That's what they always forget is you do know that the person who makes whatever game that you want, right? If Microsoft is making a game that's on PS5, they have to, develop for what is essentially the same, but it's still a foreign chipset. But they know Xbox hardware. They know how to squeeze the most out of Xbox hardware. You're 100% right. It's most likely going to perform the best there.
Yeah. So Indiana Jones might be coming out for PS5 in
I hope it does
whenever it's coming out. But you know what? It's probably going to look and play best on the Xbox. So
I hope Indiana Jones comes out on PS5.
Yeah.
I hope Starfield comes out on PS5.
Oh, man. And like Lindsay says in the chat, I just hope it makes for better crossplay too. Because you know what?
Absolutely.
Just being able to play with your friends wherever they're at. Crossplay is one of the greatest features ever. Like whenever a game has crossplay, it's so incredible. Because like I'm on my PlayStation and my one buddy's on a computer and the other buddy's on his Xbox and someone else is playing Game Pass, like the Xbox streaming service or whatever.
Yeah.
Playing games
when we played Payday.
Yeah, exactly. Like we were playing on 4 different systems to play Payday together, and it was great. It was amazing. So just enjoy games, be happy, stop fighting. There's nothing to fight about. You know, it doesn't make you any more money unless you're Mr. Xbox or Mr. PlayStation. You're not making.
Or
any
you
money.
got a stupid amount of stock in them.
Doesn't affect you. So
which even honestly, right now, I'd probably be putting my stock in Xbox, but. Again, that's playing the long game. Yeah.
Everyone just
double standard. Cool. Rolling back on that. I don't think that we see. Even though there's a rumor that about 2025 or 2026, I think I hear that they're talking about coming to PC. I don't think we see Nintendo doing this anytime soon. No, as far as like bringing their games to other consoles, yeah,
not in a million years. I don't think they ever will. I don't think they ever will.
No, and if we want to put on our business owner capitalist hat real quick, I sold 140 million consoles.
They don't need to.
I sold billions of units of software just on my platform.
There's been wasn't the number like there's more copies of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe than there are even like consoles that have been sold or something like that. Like I felt like there was one game that had at least, and again this might have been back in like 2017 2018 when the Switch launched, but I feel like I remember reading a number where it's like there's been more copies
Zelda.
Of this
it was Zelda.
There's more copies of Breath of the Wild than there even were consoles in the wild. Like they're fine.
They're good. They're not
selling
doing
plenty
it.
of software on their own. Not only are their consoles selling like incredibly well, but then also their games are selling even better than there are consoles that even exist for the game. So it's like they don't need to.
They would have to sell like 10 consoles of whatever this new unit is or whatever this new Switch is to like even consider.
Yeah. Right. It'd have to be a complete flop, and then they're like, what are we going to do? We have all these games in development. I guess we're going to put them on PlayStation and Xbox. But yeah, there's no need to. There's no need to. They're making their money, and they're happy, and you know, and people just eat it up because it's Nintendo.
Would it be cool if they put their stuff, if everybody put their stuff everywhere? Absolutely.
Amazing.
Is it going to happen with the Nintendo at least? No. Everybody else, you'll probably get it everywhere, but they're in their own lane. They're doing their own thing. I can't, in good business conscience, tell them to do that. Because if I was raking in the money they were raking in, I wouldn't be doing it either. Because it's still working for me. That's what they're doing. They're looking at all this going on the weekend. They're looking at all these tweets and be like, well, this sucks for y'all. I'm good over here. Yeah, it's fine for me. We're good.
That ain't broke, you know.
It ain't broke over here.
Let's leave it. Thanks so much for watching that clip from our podcast. Remember, if you want to watch the full episode, link will be in the description below. You can click on that and check it out. We got listener questions. We got more news segments. We got what you playing. We got a lot of fun things. So yeah, more than just the news. There's a lot more to the show that you should go check out. So remember, click that link in the description. Check out that full episode.